Mr. Biden's first chance to address the divide as commander-in-chief comes tomorrow on the Capitol steps, where presidents have delivered their inaugural addresses in times of peace, during periods of war, under the crushing weight of economic hardship, and amid simmering racial tensions. The tradition of that address dates to George Washington. NBC News' Joe Fryer examined the history of the moment.
I do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of the President of the United States.
On Inauguration Day, we celebrate our nation's rich history as we witness a sacred tradition, the swearing in of a new president.
And will, to the best of my ability,
Preserve,
protect,
and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
But it's the words that follow the oath of office, the inaugural address, that can echo for generations to come.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
So for the here and now, let's turn to Cody Keenan. He was director of speechwriting under President Obama. Cody, thank you. Some of the most famous lines in American history came from inaugural addresses. What should the world expect from Mr. Biden's tomorrow?
Yeah, hey, Shep. It was a good intro. I'm going to start by cutting President-elect Biden's speechwriters a break and say that because those lines are so well remembered, ask not, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, basically anything from Lincoln's second inaugural, the stakes for an inaugural address feel higher than they really are. You know, I don't think speechwriters should approach it that way. I think these are not make or break speeches. Most of them aren't remembered. What they can do is set a tone for the presidency. And one thing I'll say is that I've been really surprised to see, maybe not surprised, but impressed by watching Vice President Biden do that, or President-elect Biden do that before our eyes over the past couple of weeks. He's already been detailing the nuts and bolts of an agenda to corral the pandemic and rebuild the economy. Just a few hours ago, he was the first national leader to lead a memorial service. I mean, think about that. There are so many Americans who haven't had a way to grieve somebody they've lost, who haven't gotten to hug somebody in months. You know, my own parents haven't met their first granddaughter yet. So for somebody to do that on the national stage is really, really important. So tomorrow, honestly, what I'm looking for is just for Joe to be Joe. And I mean that seriously. He is somebody who's been dealt a pretty nasty hand in life, just like the country's been dealt a pretty nasty hand right now. But he's gotten through it with patience, perseverance. He's faced down those challenges and still comes through with this kind of unbreakable optimism. And I think that's something that people are going to come away with tomorrow.
Yeah, you mentioned the speeches are so rarely remembered, but you went on to say the tone often is, and it often carries for quite some time, at least through the traditional honeymoon. Are you expecting this tone to remain?
Tone can have a million meanings. I think it's important to set the tone of how you want your presidency to go and to be remembered. You know, the two most recent examples, right? When we took office 12 years ago, the economy was losing 800,000 jobs a month. I mean, it was, you know, I remember those numbers that Steve was just showing really, really well. So what we tried to do with President Obama's first inaugural was be kind of sober and talk a lot about responsibility, about putting away childish things, about reassuring people that even though our challenges are real and many, we're going to meet them. And by the end of the 8 years, you know, we had the longest streak of uninterrupted job growth in history. President Trump started his by talking about American carnage. At the end of 4 years, we're kind of living through it right now. So I think if President-elect Biden steps up and really sets the tone for this country, there are going to be a million scrapes and fights and arguments and whatever along the way, but he's really in charge of setting the tone from day one.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.